Hey there, and welcome to something that's going to be a little bit different. Over the years, I've made over 3,200 different videos for this channel, the vast majority of which are walking videos. But what I haven't done is make a video on my process as to how I go about making a walking video. So this one is not going to be how to make a walking video, rather it's going to be how I make a walking video. So for the most part, it all starts right here at home. This is where I do most of my researching and brainstorming for walking videos and that sort of thing. Once I've come back from recording, this is also where I do my editing and uploading and that sort of thing. Regrettably, I bought a MacBook Air, which I use when I'm on the road. So if I'm at a hotel, an airport, an Airbnb, a cafe, or whatever, I can do pretty much anything on the MacBook Air that I can do here. I just much prefer this environment. It's a PC, so it's better by default. I've got multiple screens, a lot more horsepower. So this is home for me when I'm not out recording. And occasionally I get a little distracted from time to time. But when you are your own boss, that's not really a big deal. Although sometimes when I'm already out and about, an idea will just kind of present itself, such as a sudden snowstorm or a rainfall, or I might come across a parade or a festival or something I wasn't planning on, or sometimes I'll just feel like making a video completely off the cuff and whip out the camera and microphone and get recording. But for the most part, my videos are premeditated. Premeditated, that kind of makes it sound like I'm plotting a crime, doesn't it? I typically aim for my videos to be around the 30 to 45 minute mark or so, but if they're shorter than that or longer than that, it doesn't really matter. I just try to hit that mark. I also utilize Google Docs. I just make a list of ideas that I can always consult in the future should I have the Walktuber equivalent of writer's block, which I do get from time to time. I also tend to track any viewer or member requests just so I can reference those in the future, as well as ideally, this is something I'm not very good at, but I try to look up any upcoming events or sort of must record items and keep track of those in the Google Doc just so I don't miss them. But sometimes I just play around with Google Docs and looking for an area that I kind of want to do or feel like doing or isn't too far away and my lazy ass can get out there and do it easily. Since I upload videos for pretty much every day, I'll often try to plan 2 or sometimes even 3 videos when I go out. That way I can buy myself a day off or 2 after that just to kind of sit around and do all the editing and other stuff, or just completely take the day off and then just enjoy myself. And occasionally, or not occasionally, maybe 2-3 times a week, I'll bring my live streaming gear with me, and after I record a few videos, I'll do a live stream, ideally taking myself back to a subway station or transit line or someplace that'll get me home easily. So once I have my idea, it's outside I go. And yes, I always wear my pajamas out during a cold winter's walk, don't you? Well, sometimes I just head straight out the door, but other times I sit down in front of the computer and just do a little bit of research. I try to come up with talking points and commit some things to memory. I don't have a very good memory these days, but I try to remember what I can just so there's something interesting to talk about. A lot of my videos are kind of casual observations, and I'll often relate to my experiences in the city or in that particular area or whatever just happens to come to mind at the time. But I do try to research things, at least to some degree. Also, if I'm taking the subway or a bus or whatever on my way to wherever it is I'm going, I'll pull out my phone and just do some last minute research, see if there's anything interesting I can pull up just to try to get a few more talking points or add something of value to the video I'm about to make. I guess this is a good time to discuss the equipment I use. I primarily use one of these, if it'll come into focus. Focus, there we go. This is a DJI Pocket 3. It's a very small gimbal camera. There you can see it kind of keeps things nice and steady when I'm walking around, which is super important. Crucially, it does 4K 60 recording. It's got a nice big sensor. It's decent in low light. I just really, really love this thing. I even was live streaming with it for a while. But really, I built my whole channel off of using these cameras, going back to the DJI Pocket 1. I could use an action camera like this DJI Action 4. You'll notice it keeps the horizon steady, whereas with this, if you've got it on a selfie stick or if you're hand holding it, you can tilt it. They do have built-in software leveling. Also, the horizon can be off by moving it up and down. So I don't really like using these, and they're absolute trash in low light. But that's certainly a solution if you're recording in daylight, at least, that you could try. That's nice and small and discreet, but this thing just trumps everything. And while good video is important, good audio is non-negotiable. Back in the early days of this channel, I must have deleted well over a dozen videos because there was some kind of audio issue. I remember I bought a belt from Winners, and every time I stepped, it made like a squeak noise, and I couldn't hear this when I was just wearing the belt, you know, in the office or wherever I was going with my pants on, I guess. But when I was out recording a video, the microphone would pick up a little squeak on every single step. And I went home all excited because I went out on my lunch break and recorded this video, and I went home and listened to it, and it was just completely maddening to listen to this squeak over and over again. So it's really important to me that I make sure that my clothing, you know, isn't like overly swooshy or loud, that there's no zipper kind of flapping up and down, that I've got the microphone set a good distance from my pie hole so the audio isn't peaking. I check all the levels in my software to make sure that it's right at the level that YouTube wants it to be, and then I still normalize it to YouTube levels when I render it. It's just, yeah, you can kind of tolerate video that's a little bit off. In a walking video, you definitely want it to be stabilized and generally pleasant looking. But poor audio to me is an instant non-starter. I will not sit through a video if the audio is off in any way. You may have noticed I record my videos in 4K at 60 frames per second. I use 60 frames per second just because anything less than that, in my opinion, doesn't look very good. Some of my earlier videos were at 30 frames per second, and you'll notice like someone on their bike or in a car going by, it just kind of looks, frankly, it looks a bit janky. It kind of looks a bit like a slideshow. So I always try to record in 60 frames per second. I recently upped my live streams to 60 frames per second, and I just think things look so much better that way. And if you're wondering about camera settings, I just record with everything on auto. That's white balance, ISO, shutter speed. I find the Pocket 3 does an excellent job, and since the real world is dynamic, there's constantly clouds rolling in and out. One moment you're in the shade, the next moment you're in the sun. I just set it to auto and it takes care of itself. Now that I've got my video idea all planned out, I've put on this nice non-swooshy jacket. It's just about time to head outside, but lately in my advanced years, I've developed the bladder of a 90-year-old. So whenever I'm going out to record, whether it be just a video or two or a live stream, I always hit the little boys' room and make sure I've emptied out the tank. So I'm just going to do that. Then I'm going to head outside and I'll see you there. So in my case, I just often find myself walking 5 minutes or so to Eglinton Station or to a bus stop, or if I'm feeling extremely lazy, I'll just stay in my area and make a video. And there is Eglinton Station straight ahead, so that's where I start off making probably 80 or 90% of my journeys. But as I mentioned, I've certainly made a number of videos around this area. Living here would be quite handy for that. There's Yonge and Eglinton. So I could either go north or south here, or I could go east or west. And often when there's a big weather event, like a snowstorm, since I don't want to miss it, and this area is literally at my doorstop, this is the first place I'll go record. And then if it's still coming down, I'll pop into the station there and go, Gotta be careful. That person just ate shit. Sometimes you catch these things on video. Luckily, they're able to laugh it off and be okay. Anyways, I'll quit yapping and get back to telling you about how I make videos. And once I've arrived at my starting point, I need to pull out the camera and make sure that the lens is all clear. It's not fogged up or doesn't have any dust or debris on it. I need to get out the microphone and set that up in a place where it'll clearly be able to record audio. And all right, something just went down back there, but where it won't be rubbing into any zippers or clothing, or won't be too far from my pie hole, so you'll be able to unfortunately hear what I'm saying. But once I'm all set up and ready to go, it's just a matter of hitting record and starting my walk. And this is a spot up on the rooftop at the Yonge Eglinton Center I've certainly started and finished a video or two before from. And once the video is done, it's time to put away my gear and go home. Often, if I'm feeling extra adventurous or energetic, I'll plan out another video on the spot. And I would say about half of the time I bring my live streaming gear with me. For instance, last night I made a video walking to the Distillery District, then I made a video through the Distillery District as the Christmas market is being held there, and then I pulled out my live streaming gear and did a live stream. That's a handy thing about having a winter coat with lots of pockets on it. Unlike in the summer, I don't have to bring a backpack with me everywhere I go. I can just kind of fatten myself up and throw everything in the pockets. I don't have my live streaming gear on me, so I'm just gonna wrap up and head home. Once I'm home from recording, I usually eat whatever meal I picked up on the way home, and then I head over to my computer, take out my camera, remove the memory card, load that into the PC, and immediately check all the files just to make sure everything turned out okay. I'm often uploading a video for the following morning, so I just want to make sure I have no surprises when I go to edit it and everything came out okay and is usable. Nice save. And then I charge all my devices. In the early days of this channel, on more than a few occasions, I stepped outside with a camera that was out of battery or nearly out of battery, or a microphone that was almost dead. So I've got plenty of USB-C chargers around the home here, and I just plug everything in and make sure it's fully charged. One of the neat things about walk-tubing is that there aren't really any barriers to entry. All you need is a camera and an internet connection, and you're pretty much good to go. You don't need necessarily a fancy Pocket 3 camera. You don't need a big-ass PC like I have with expensive paid software. You need none of that, really. You just need a camera and a device to upload with and an internet connection. As for my rendering settings, I render everything in H.265 with a 70,000 bit rate, and I normalize the audio for YouTube, so that pretty much does the trick. And once it's rendered out, the typical file is around 20 to 25 gigabytes. And while I'm not very good at thumbnails, one thing I learned early on, at least when it comes to the text on the thumbnail, is that less is more. You want fewer words that are bold and very easy to read and have good contrast with the background. Remember, a lot of people are just looking at these on their phone. So while it might look nice and big on your smart TV or your computer monitor, these things are tiny on a phone. So the text really has to stand out, and it has to complement your title. So editing a video takes me about 15 minutes on average. I've created a nice little template that really helps streamline the process for me. Also, DaVinci Resolve has all the audio tools and that sort of thing relatively automated, and that 15 to 20 minutes it takes me to edit the video includes this animated map that often pops up near the start of my video showing the route that I am taking. I did work out like an Indiana Jones 3D kind of flyover of the map that looked pretty neat, but it takes about 45 minutes to do that. And since I'm doing videos every day, I really just wanted things to be a bit more streamlined than that. And then rendering the video takes anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the length of it. And while it's rendering, I'll work on the title of the video. I'll flip through the source files off the camera to see if I can find some stills that I can use for a thumbnail. Often by the time it's done rendering, I already have the title, I have the description, and I've either completed the thumbnail or I'm well on my way to completing the thumbnail. Then I upload it to YouTube. That takes about 2 or 3 minutes. I've got a pretty fast fiber connection, so that's really not a big deal. And then YouTube will scan the video. It'll let me know if there's any music copyright matches. Fortunately, YouTube has a really neat new tool that will remove any copyright music, but keep all the other sounds intact. I can do that in my software as well, so I always have the option to do it myself manually, and then I have to re-render it and re-upload it. But it's really nice that YouTube has that tool. So once it's been uploaded to YouTube, I can pump the title and description and the tags and all that fun stuff into YouTube Studio. I can upload the thumbnail, and then I can set it to Premiere the next morning at 9 a.m. Fucking thing. Then it's just a matter of waking up at 9 a.m., opening up the crap book, aka the waste of money MacBook Air, firing up the YouTubes, and joining in with all the lovely viewers tuning in for the morning premiere, which is most mornings at 9 a.m. EDT on this channel. And if I'm not premiering a video in the morning, that means I'll probably be live streaming later on in the morning or early afternoon. And I also tend to go live every Sunday at 8 p.m. on the Johnny Stumbles channel, since I'm shamelessly plugging my own stuff. But anyways, I'm sure you didn't learn a thing from that, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Good night.